Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're specifically going to talk about how we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. There will be spoilers for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning in this content, and what I want to do is I want to give a review of the movie in context of Dungeons and Dragons, and point at lessons that we must be learning from Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning for Dungeons and Dragons. All right, so first of all, 4 out of 5 star movie, absolutely fantastic. It's every Dungeon Master content. You should definitely go see this. It is really phenomenal, and it has some problems. That's why it's 4 out of 5 stars. But it's also really, fascinating and good, and I really enjoyed it. I really highly recommend that you go check this out, right? But I did want to, but I want to talk about one thing that Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning does better than any Dungeons and Dragons canon writer today has ever done in any D&D canon hardback, and that is 3-dimensional environmental danger, right? So Mission Impossible has a lot of people are reviewing this movie. It's been reviewed extremely well, and I don't know if you know this, but I do think movie reviewers realize the importance of Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. What's happening with Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning? Well, one of the most important things is, like, okay, you're a movie reviewer, right? You used to be able to be like, oh, this movie sucks, blah, blah, blah. Right? Like, it was easy, right? It was super easy. It's harder to do now, right? So you're a movie reviewer. You want people to come get your opinion about movies. They can't do that if movies are dead, right? And literally, the American cinema is in hospice right now. American cinema is not dead, right? But boy, is it in hospice. It has checked in. They put out all three pillows. They put a satin blanket down, and the priest is in the corner, ready to read last rites. That's where we're at, man. If you're not aware, the only movie this year that has made $1 billion is Super Mario Brother, and it only made 1. We used to scrape the bottom of 3 billion in this country, right? Movies are in very bad, so a lot of reviewers just raved about this movie, and the reason why is it's a real movie that there's a real reason to go see on the big screen, right? So a lot of reviewers are giving it fantastic reviews for a couple reasons. 1, it's a great movie. 2, they have to, right? Like I think movie reviewers are like, you don't kick a horse when it's down, right? Like, you don't kick a dog. What's the saying? I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't kick a horse or a dog, right? But you shouldn't kick Hollywood when it's down, right? And it is down, right? Like, it is down. You don't kick anything living when it's down, and Hollywood is down, right? And so you coming along going, this movie sucks, right? Like, it doesn't land the way it hits different today, right? So just be aware of that. All right. Done. So our responsibility. We've been told this for years. Sly Flourish is over there saying it. And Jeremy Crawford is saying it, and Christopher Perkins is saying it, and Kelsey Dion is saying it, right? And Matthew Mercer is saying it, saying, hey, you need to use environments dynamically in your Dungeons and Dragons campaign sessions, right? Great, that's easy to say. Have you shown us? Have you done it? No, right? Like, the reality is we have been abysmally terrible about showing 3-dimensional environmental danger in Dungeons & Dragons. First reason why is our tools are horrible. Absolutely horrible, okay? So our tools for doing this, right? What are our tools, right? First of all, it's a bunch of miniatures that don't stack, right? Like, they're absolutely terrible, right? And the best, and you would not believe some of the crap I have seen for getting, to depict, okay, this is an Aarakocra, he's 30 feet in the air, or he's 60 feet in the air. And, like, some people have those, clear miniatures that break, those clear, like, little standees that easily break, right? It's abysmal. We just don't have the tools for this. We didn't have the tools for it. We have it now. That's why Dungeons & Dragons, that's why, in my humble opinion, wake up, peeps, wake up, peeps, wake up, peeps. This is why Dungeons & Dragons officially connected to LEGO, right? So that we can begin to show three-dimensional danger in environments. Those characters literally stack, right? And doing, putting a character 30 feet in the air or 60 feet in the air, we literally have tools like clear blocks and all kinds of, there's like literally 70 years, I think Lego's been around for like 70 years, right? Like, there's 70 years of tools to show to put characters in three-dimensional combat, right? So Lego is coming to fix the absolutely horrific state of miniatures right now, right? Like, and honestly, miniatures are terrible, right? Like, and terrain has been terrible. But Lego is going to solve all of that. And we now have the best Lego minifigures are the best D&D miniatures ever. They are highly customizable. How many miniatures on the market right now can you pop off the sword and put in a spear? I can do it, right? Because I've been running with Lego for about a year now, right? And you're going to be able to do it too. And there are clear blocks that you can clearly stack, right, on a 48 by 48 gray plate to show three-dimensional environments. And why is this now demanded of us in Dungeons and Dragons? And the reason why is Hollywood is still our competitor, right? And so you're like, oh, the dragon is 50 feet above you, and you got to shoot your arrow at it, right? And you are using absolutely abominable, very, very, very bad tools to show three-dimensional environmental, and I shouldn't have said, rocks are falling from this cliff. How do you show that with miniatures? It's almost impossible, right? You will be able to show it with Lego, right? Lego has cliffs and it has boulders. Like all this stuff is right there, right? But our competition is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. And how did they do this in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning? Better than it has ever been done in any adventure ever written for Dungeons & Dragons, right? And even if it was written before in Dungeons & Dragons, if there was anything even written in Dungeons & Dragons that matched what we got to see in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, you didn't have the tools for it. But now we do through Lego Dragon, and the reason we're getting all of this Lego equipment to use as figures and as terrain is D&D officially connected to Lego with D&D Dragon's Keep Journey's End, right? And it was brought forward to solve this problem, in my humble opinion, okay? 100%. It's the whole well, actually, there were some other reasons, but this is a very, very important primary reason why this was brought forward, right? And, but what is the scene in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning that demands we get better at this? It is the final scene in the movie. The train, the train scene is tremendous. It is absolutely incredible. But the end of the train scene, the evil AI, the entity, blows up the bridge, and I'm not joking. Literally on the Orient Express, right? They actually used that term in the film. They said, "Hey, the Orient Express," and it looked like the old Orient Express. It was literally a coal-powered train, and I literally think it was literally the same train they shot the last Orient Express movie on. It was amazing. But in that, there are 5 car trains, right? That Ethan Hunt has to hurdle up and out in order to live, right? So the locomotive and the coal chute and the locomotive and the coal cabin car hurtle into the abyss, and then the other train cars are going over the edge and hurtling down into a rocky crevice where anybody who's in that falling car will die, right? So Ethan Hunt has to climb up through 5 different train cars in order to live, right? Now, it's not just Ethan Hunt, it's his new female partner, right? Now, I would love to tell you her character name, but I can't tell you her character name, and the reason why is I have seen 7 Mission Impossible movies, right? And those films have told me, do not dare learn this woman character's name. And the reason why, she is sure to be dead at the end of this movie or the next movie. Because they made googly eyes at each other, and any woman in a Mission Impossible film that makes googly eyes at Ethan Hunt is sure to die in that movie or the next movie. They never break this pattern. I mean, it's incredible, right? Like, so which is incredibly shameful and terrible, and it is why it is a 4 out of 5 star movie and not a 5 out of 5 star movie. It's really bad, right? I cannot believe that this series is still fringing women. It's not good. It's not good. Okay, all right. So him and his partner, who did not die in this film, but will almost certainly die in the next film, right? Is because if you make googly eyes at Ethan Hunt at any point, you're going to have to die so that he can be sad and have motivation in the movie, which is why no one cared when the Hollywood writers went on strike, right? Like, you know, so like, but these falling train cars, the first one is the car falls off, and and the danger is, hey, look at this, look what's happening, right? Watch carefully, right? And it is truly incredible the way they handle this. They're like, hey, this car is dangling, so the first thing that's going to happen is the entire car will go from being level to being horizontal to being vertical, right? So the first thing that happens is Ethan Hunt and his woman partner, right? They fall to the end of the train, and then they have to scramble over the seats, right? And all we're learning with this train car is, oh my gosh, the entire orientation of the train car is going to flip, and that's going to be a 30-foot drop. That's 3d6 damage in Dungeons and Dragons, right? And it's incredibly dangerous, and it's harrowing, right? But then then not only do they have to climb up to the top of the car, right? They also not only do they have to climb up to the top of the car, they also then have to hurtle out onto the top of the car, which is now a wall, which now used to be a vertical wall, which is now a floor with a door in it, which is a floor with a hole in it, right? Like, it's incredibly dangerous. And then they have to leap from that horizontal surface that used to be a vertical surface onto a vertical surface that is dangling above, while the train coupling is going to snap, right? And actually what happens is Ethan Hunt actually leaps for the woman partner, he says, hey, go, I'm going to help you. And he boosts her up. She makes the leap, makes it, and then the entire car falls out, and he has to jump off of the falling car to grab the coupling, right? Like, it was astounding, right? So then they get into this last train, but then all the bricks are breaking off, and now they are in, I kid you not, a kitchen, right? Where pans are on fire and falling at them, and then burning hot oil is all over the floor, so that they actually get scalded by burning hot oil, right? And there are falling knives, there's ice trays, like, it's bonkers, right? And they have to claw their way through that car. And then they have to make that same nexus of the orientation and the cable, the dangling cables between the cars, and then they snap and the other one falls down. It's astounding. It is absolutely astounding. And that's the kitchen car. And then the next one is breaks off, and this one is like all of the furniture becomes falling damage, hurtling like obstacles to knock them down and batter them. And then there's another car, and then there's another car, each with unique dangers. I've never seen anything like it, right? And the reality is, it is exactly what Sly Flores says to do. It's exactly what Jeremy Crawford says to do. It's exactly what Christopher Perkins says to do. It's exactly what Kelsey Dion says to do, right? But it's done phenomenally, perfectly, with the right tools, quickly, right? So first of all, we're not even having stuff like this written for us, right? And that might be the least of the problem, right? We've never had the tools before we connected to Legos. And then last, even if we had the tools and we had the writing, it would take forever, right? Whereas all this is happening in real time and it feels exciting, right? Whereas we'd be like, roll a skill check, roll a skill check, roll a skill check, roll a skill check. We don't have the structure to do this in Dungeons & Dragons. It's really bad, right? And so I really think, this is really, really bad. Like, we now see exactly what we have to do, but we don't have the writing. We don't have the tools. We actually have the tools now, but no one's using them except me, right? And then finally, we don't have a system that runs fast enough, right? So Dungeons & Dragons needs to change to match its real competitor, which is Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning.